Coming up on Vegas Nation Gameday, it's the Raiders home opener. And a certain player can't wait for his Allegiant Stadium debut.
Yeah, and they're coming. They're coming to the game. So I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Week 2 is here, and we'll get you ready for it right now on Vegas Nation Gameday.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Gameday. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
Welcome in, football fans, to Vegas Nation Gameday. I'm your host, Cassie Soto, here to get you ready for the Raiders' Week 2 home matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams are looking for their first win of the season, so let's get to it with our opening drive brought to you by Capriotti's. Make your game day extraordinary with Capriotti's. Order now. Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore joining me now from Raiders headquarters. Vinny, there are still a lot of question marks lingering around this offensive line, and even more so now because center Andre James' status is still up in the air after he got a concussion last week. We've seen rookie Dylan Parham take snaps with Derek Carr at practice this week. How do you think he'll fare if he does get that call?
That's a great question. Talking to him, he feels confident. I know the coaches are confident in him. This is why the Raiders did what they did throughout OTAs, training camp, preseason, where Dylan was getting time at guard, both guard positions, and center, just in case. And here's the irony of the whole thing. I think Andre James pretty much played every game last year for the Raiders. He might have missed one game. I'd have to double check that. But he was an Iron Man for the Raiders last year. And here this happens on a fluke play. Might have been the last Raiders offensive play of the game where he gets hurt. And so it looks doubtful for him, at least, going into the game. It'll probably be a game time decision. But if not, it's going to have to probably be Dylan Parham, the rookie from Memphis. That's going to change some communications for him. He feels comfortable. He sounded confident about it. But until we actually see him on the field, it's a question mark.
Sticking with the offense, it was no shock that Davante Adams had a majority of the targets in Week 1. Do we think we'll see that same sort of thing this week, or will Carr look to spread the ball around to more of his receivers?
I think there's going to be more spreading of the ball around, and we started seeing that in the second half against the Chargers, rewatching that game on multiple occasions. In that second half, a couple of their big drives, the ball started getting dispersed, not only to Davante, but to Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller catches a big pass late in the game to put him in scoring position. So I would expect, as the season goes on, starting on Sunday against the Cardinals, that you're going to see more balanced distribution with the ball.
How about this Raiders defense? How did they get more involved versus Kyler Murray and the Cardinals offense?
Well, it was a frustrating day for the Raiders defense because they were oh so close, especially Max Crosby, to sacking Justin Herbert. Wasn't able to quite get to him. That could make for a long afternoon. Max Crosby had a fabulous game, by the way. But those are going to come. The sacks are going to come. It would help, obviously, if the Raiders defense could get him to the ground, Kyler Murray, a few times on Sunday, or if not, definitely affect some of his decision-making, some of his throws, because I think the Raiders need to start getting on the board defensively in terms of turning the ball over. They lost the turnover battle 3-0. That's mostly on Derek Carr and some poor decisions and poor throws that he made. But it helps when the defense can balance things out a little bit by forcing their own turnovers. Usually winning that battle means putting yourself in a really good position to win the ultimate battle, and that's on the scoreboard.
Flip the Field, sponsored by South Point Sportsbook. Download the app at southpointsports.com.
It's week 2 of the NFL season, and that means it's time to take a look at the Arizona Cardinals, the Raiders' opponent in this one. Joining me now to flip the field is Ed Graney, our Review-Journal sports columnist. First of all, Ed, I think we have to look at what happened to this offense led by Kyler Murray. They are down DeAndre Hopkins. What do you think this offense needs to do to get things going against the Raiders defense?
Well, I'll tell you one person who can step up, and that's Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, Heidi. You know, he and Kyler Murray played together at Oklahoma. It's almost like Derek Carr and Davante Adams at Fresno State. There's this symmetry between the two, this connection between the two. And I think with Hopkins out, it's going to be up to Brown to stretch the field and to put himself in a position to have Kyler Murray make some big plays against the Raiders if that's possible. So I'd look to Marquise Brown as one of those guys who can step in for Hopkins, make some big plays with Kyler Murray, his good friend, and see what they can do in terms of moving the ball against that Raiders secondary.
Cliff Kingsbury and company is coming off of an effort where they gave up 44 points to the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1. If you're the Cardinals, what do you do? What kind of adjustments do you make as you prepare to face the Raiders offense and Davante Adams?
The Cardinals blitz a lot, right? I don't think they're going to go away from that, especially from what they saw from the Raiders offensive line on film from the game against the Chargers. I still think they're going to blitz. I still think they're going to try to get to Derek Carr so he can't get the ball out quickly to people like Adams, Renfro, Darren Waller. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I don't change very much. I have to say, look, it was Pat Mahomes. It was the Chiefs. We ran into a buzzsaw. You can't change from week 1 to week 2 exponentially and try to do a ton of different things. Now, they're going to have to account for Davante Adams, obviously, after the game he had. But if you're the Raiders on a counter, you hope they do that. So then all of a sudden, Renfro and Waller get more targets than they did last week. But if I'm Kingsbury, I'm doing what I've done for the last several years. I blitz and blitz some more, try to get to Carr and try to make him make mistakes. We saw the 3 turnovers last week. I think the Cardinals would be very, very happy with 3 picks of their own.
3 Raider starters officially ruled out for Sunday's game against the Cardinals. It starts on offense. Andre James, center, suffered a head injury last week, the final offensive play of the game. He was trying to dive on a fumble, bumped heads with Joey Bosa from the Chargers. We saw him in the locker room after the game, really struggling. He's been in concussion protocol. He will not play against the Cardinals. Expect Dylan Parham, the rookie, to slide into that role. They have several other options, but that's probably the first choice on Sunday. Defensively, 2 starters are key that will be missing the game. Denzel Perryman, linebacker, leading tackler from last year, he is out, as is Trayvon Merring, the starting safety, who had a fantastic rookie year last season. He will miss the game as well. So some key injuries going into the home opener for the Raiders. They've also got a very, very questionable tag on Brandon Bolden, running back. He's actually doubtful for the game. Unlikely to play on Sunday, but plenty of depth in that backfield room. On the Cardinals side, they have a couple of wide receivers that will be missing the game. Rondale Moore, Andy Isabella, both ruled out for this game. That's, of course, in addition to DeAndre Hopkins, their star wide receiver, who is currently suspended and will not play. A former Raider, Trayvon Mullen, questionable for this game, so maybe that homecoming doesn't happen. And, of course, star defensive lineman J.J. Watt, questionable as well. But he's always questionable. He almost always plays, so we'll see his status on Sunday morning.
D&R House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
With Capriotti's, game day is always extraordinary. Fuel your passion with our award-winning cheesesteaks, in-house oven-roasted turkey, and classic subs. Or create a fan frenzy with our catering trays that are perfect for any crew. At Capriotti's, we deliver extraordinary to you.
Listen to the Vegas Nation podcast 3 times a week, featuring Vinny Bonsignor and Sam Gordon to kick off the week with First and 10. In the middle of the week, catch Heidi Fang's takeaways, and rounding out the week on Fridays is Ed Graney and Adam Hill with Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Subscribe to the podcast and check them out as well on VegasNation.com and the Vegas Nation app, all powered by the Las Vegas Review Journal. Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Game Day. Sunday is the home opener for the Raiders, and no one is more excited for that than the players. They will finally get a chance to play in front of Raider Nation, and in Davante Adams' case, get to play in front of some very special family members. I think you mentioned that your grandparents have never seen you play professionally.
Yeah, and they're coming. They're coming to the game. So I'm excited. I'm super excited.
That was my question, yeah. They're coming.
Yeah, they'll be here. My grandma, we already got her set up at one of the MGM resorts. So yeah, she'll be in town. And then my daughter's birthday is next week, so she'll be out here just hanging out in Vegas, probably on the slots or something, chilling, and yeah, just hanging out with us. So it's good to have them in town.
Yeah, very excited. Man, our crowd is so loud. You know, it's definitely it's always a fun atmosphere at home. Any home Raider game is an experience, you know, and I always have a blast in front of our home crowd, and I love our fans here in Las Vegas.
The Raiders' pass rush, while revamped by the addition of Pro Bowler Chandler Jones, did not secure a sack last Sunday against the Chargers, making the Raiders one of 3 NFL teams that failed to record one in Week 1. Now, one of the others just so happens to be their Week 2 opponent, the Arizona Cardinals, and the statistics suggest their fortunes will reverse this Sunday at Allegiant Stadium. Now, the sample size is small, but the Cardinals allowed pressure in Week 1 on a league-high 64.9% of their passing plays per Pro Football Reference, yielding 24 total pressures against the Kansas City Chiefs, 8 more than the next highest team. Now, Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is among the most elusive players in the NFL and was sacked just twice by the Chiefs, but the pressure played a part in limiting Murray to 193 passing yards, which was the 6th fewest among starting quarterbacks in Week 1. Conversely, though, the Cardinals generated pressure on a league-high 58.5% of their passing plays despite their failure to secure a sack, and they also blitzed on 58.5% of their passing plays as an effort to hurry Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. A similar strategy may breed different results Sunday because only Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford were sacked more in Week 1 than Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, who went down 5 times. Of course, something's got to give when these two teams play again at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday. I'm Sam Gordon, and that's the story by the numbers.
For some insight on this week's betting lines, here's sports betting columnist Todd Dewey.
Thanks, Cassie. It's only Week 2, but it's already almost a must-win game here for the Raiders after losing their opener, and with the Titans and Chiefs and Broncos on deck. The Raiders are consensus 5.5-point favorites over the Cardinals after opening as 1-point favorites back in May and getting reposted as 3.5-point favorites after Week 1. Sharp bettors are on both sides of this one as they backed the Raiders minus 3.5 on Monday morning at the Westgate Superbook and took Arizona when the line momentarily reached 6 at station casinos. Consensus total is 51.5. Sportsbooks need the Cardinals and under as tickets are 3-1 in favor of the Raiders at BetMGM and 2-1 in favor of the over. Professional sports bettor I spoke with bet the Raiders minus 3.5 over Arizona, which was crushed by Kansas City in the opener, and is missing wide receivers DeAndre Hopkins and Rondale Moore. He was impressed that the Raiders stayed close to the Chargers in a 24-19 loss despite 3 interceptions by Derek Carr.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Game Day. The Raiders are set to take the field for their first home game of the season, hosting the Cardinals on Sunday at 1:25 p.m. Pacific Time. Keep a lookout for all of our Raiders coverage at vegasnation.com. For our entire crew here, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you soon.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Game Day. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.